Hi everyone. As you know, if you've been watching the news, Harvard professor Henry Louis Gates, an expert in black culture, was arrested for trying to enter his home by Sergeant James Crowley of the Cambridge Police Department about 3 days ago. What happened has been a nightmare, but also a great conversation that will advance American culture. But the bottom line is that Gates was arrested for being basically an uppity black guy. And President Obama was absolutely right. The Cambridge police acted stupidly. Let me explain. When I've noticed that people try to look for common elements in dealing with other people, but when the people are of different colors, there's less tendency to try to find those common elements. I just came here yesterday, on a flight from Chicago to Atlanta. I was in first class, which is the luck of being the son of a former United employee, and there was a gentleman who put his bags up beside me and looked at the seat next to me and just frowned like that, and then sat in front of me. Didn't know what it was about. Really, I didn't care, but I noticed everything. Later in the flight, as his cocktails flowed and he started talking to the guy next to him, I noticed that he didn't really know that guy, but they were both white. He was trying to make a connection with him, trying to find common elements. You know what I mean? Yeah. Had that guy been black, he would never have done that. Never. And that's what brings me back to the issue of Gates and Crowley. You see, Gates was basically saying, look, this is my house. If Crowley had been trying to find a common element with him, he would have walked into the house, worked to try to calm him down by saying, nice house, notice the pictures, notice that there was some thing in the house that indicated this what was really Gates' house. It would not have been interested in trying to get Gates to behave or to dance. In other words, he's not going to dance, so I'm going to arrest him. That's essentially what happened. Gates would not dance. Gates, from his point of view, is saying, look, I'm not going to dance. You're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to put this power over me because you're a white police officer. And he became, in a sense, defiant. But if Crowley is an expert in racial profiling, and as some of them in the media are trying to paint him an expert in race relations, then Crowley should have known not to treat Gates that way, particularly if he's a distinguished Harvard professor. In fact, because he's a Harvard professor, and because Gates is an older person, and because also Crowley is a Cambridge police officer, Crowley should have known who Gates was. Why didn't he? You know, we've all, as African-American men, had negative experiences with the police. Myself, 2006, I was being tailgated by someone I thought like he was following me, so I literally on the freeway went in front of a highway patrol officer trying to get help, and instead I wound up going through a field sobriety test, which I thought I passed. And then when I realized the guy was going to arrest me, I started to shed a tear, and he said, "Oh, you're going to do that?" And he body slammed me on his car. For what? Nothing. And it was horrifying. And, you know, that kind of incident, when it happens to you, it really affects how you think about, well, how you think about the police. But in my case, I know a lot of police officers with the Oakland Police Department and the Alameda County Sheriff's Department, and yes, some with the California Highway Patrol, who act intelligently and who are used to working with people of color. But the bottom line, standard fact in America is that the police are still mostly white, and they don't have experience at having grown up with black men in particular. As a friend of mine in law enforcement pointed out to me, there's a tendency to recruit the police who come from the suburbs, and they don't have black friends that didn't grow up with blacks, and so their first exposure to someone African American is in the line of duty of being a police officer, which can skew your entire view of society. So what we need to do is we really need to have this dialogue to move forward. You know, in the old days, police officers didn't do this. They were really peace officers. Now they're militaristic. And we have to get over that. Yes, there are criminals out there that are bad. Yes, they're not all black. And the mindset of America has to change in such a way that black men are not viewed as automatically bad, just as someone white and blonde isn't viewed as automatically not smart. We've got to move beyond that. We've got to take this step to come together to solve our real problem, our economy.